the Marcellus Shale. There's people working within the system to try to change that, right? Who knows what the EPA is? A couple of hands. Environmental Protection Agency, right? We have someone the person that runs the EPA, the largest environmental organization in the country, is an African American woman. And she's from New Orleans, from the Ninth Ward. And she's freaking awesome. But as soon as she came into office, under the Obama administration, she hasn't really accomplished that much, because she's in a bureaucracy. Right. So I have a lot of great ideas for this campus. I have a lot of aspirations for this campus, but I'm working within the bureaucracy. And the one thing that's going to help me the most solve the challenges that we face at this campus are you guys, so future students and current students. Jeremy, you're not a current student anymore. Either are you. But these guys were just recent. Are you?
Nope, not anymore.
All right. Well, so there's the 27,000 students here, and they are the voice. You guys are the voice. And if you show passion and, real compassion for these it's that are going to affect you and your children, then you can change the world. But it's going to be hard, and nothing comes easy. Nothing comes easy, especially when it comes to this stuff. So I'll get into the PowerPoint. So that's what I do. Does that make sense? I'll get into this stuff later. So objectives. Start checking this stuff off. Objectives. I want you guys to leave here today not asleep. So all of you, how many of you? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 of you are not going to fall asleep in the next 45 minutes. That's my first objective. I know you're tired, you just ate. You guys are like, oh, that Worcester Dining Common food was so good. I had appetizer, I had entree, I had dessert, it's amazing, right? You had anything like, the world was your oyster. But you didn't eat oysters, right? Because they didn't offer oysters. Hopefully not. I don't know if they offer oysters. But I want you guys to be inspired when you leave here today to, really kind of want to come to school here and also change the world. And I want you guys to leave here with a really good understanding of why UMass is posed with what the challenges are that faces UMass right now, what the challenges are that face the world right now. So I flip those two. What the challenges are facing the world right now, what the challenges are facing UMass right now, and how we're beginning to address that challenge. Got it? All right, 2 out of 8 or 9 isn't so bad. All right, so that's me, that's the campus. Look at that picture. Look at that. This place is amazing, isn't it? All right. Who knows what those things are?
Logos.
Logos of what? 3 brands. Name them out. Nike, McDonald's, and what else? Adidas. You guys know that in your sleep, right? Right? Easy. Adidas is a little, Nike and, right, big multinational corporations, but you guys can name that in your sleep. Now, do you know what this is? What is it?
A graph.
It is a graph of what?
Oh.
What is it representing?
Emissions?
Emissions. Good. You said that. Nice. Emissions of what?
CO2.
CO2 where?
From, here. Probably.
Here, where?
Or in the
Here?
world.
What atmosphere? The planet here?
Well, everywhere.
The atmosphere?
Yeah.
Yes. This is global CO2 emissions in the atmosphere from 1958 to 2002, I believe.
Why do we continue going up and down?
I'll explain that. This is called the Keelan curve. Do not forget this. Objective. Should have added that. I'm going to add objectives as we go along. Do not forget this. That's Mr. Keeling. He's a scientist. First man in the world to start measuring parts per million of CO2 emissions in the atmosphere. Do not forget this guy. This guy was a man. 1958. Your parents were like, how old are your parents? Like early, late 40s? Late 40s? 50s? So they were babies when this guy started measuring CO2. How cool is that?
So cool.
Dr. Keeling. The way he did it was he went onto the top of one of the largest volcanoes in the world, Mauna Loa, which is also the name of a cranberry drink. And it's in Hawaii, and it's basically in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. So it's the place in the world that has some of the most cleanest air in the world. And he started putting balloons in the air and measuring this stuff. And so you see 1958, 2002. Now this is continuing to go up for the last 10 years. And the reason why he's the one that figured out, he saw these fluctuations, right? Up, down, up, down, up, down, as it was going up. And he was like, what is going on? And realized that in the winter, the CO2 is what? Highest or lowest? Highest. In the spring and summer, it was the lowest. Because of what?
Air pressure.
Not air
Air
pressure.
density because of the heat.
Nope.
Trees.
Plants. Emitting CO2. And there was a lab. So,
Mr. Small.
yes.
There was a website, like 350.org.
Yep.
Is that like the ideal? Is that what we want to
Yes.
get to?
So this is the basis for 350.org. You guys talk about 350.org?
A little bit, yeah.
Cool. So you see where we were in 1958? Around what, average? Looks right around 315, right? 315 parts per million. Where were we in 1990? Go up his shoulder.
360.
Bam. Around 350, 360, right? That is why scientists have said that we must get levels of CO2 down to 1990 levels, which is around 350. That's what the number represents, 350.
I know, I'm saying.
So is this all coming together a little bit? Do you guys understand that? So scientists have come to a consensus around the world that said, if we don't get CO2 levels down to 350 or under 1990 levels, I'll be right here in a second, then we are going to create shifts in our atmospheric system, in our climate system, that will be irreversible.
What's the number stand for? 350?
Parts per million. See on the side there?
Right,
CO2 concentration parts per million.
Okay.
Got it?
Yep.
So every molecule of oxygen, there's
Right.
a million, there's
350
a million for whatever.
Yeah.
You guys get it.
300.
All right. I saw another hand.
Oh, yeah. Well, how did they arrive at that number? Why did they choose that?
Why they arrived at 350
Yeah.
and 1990? Because, well, they kind of came to a consent. They kind of came to a,
Like a realistic goal?
yeah, realistic goal. So ideally, we'd like to get down to 1900 levels, right before the Industrial Revolution. You guys talked about the Industrial Revolution today? Talked about the history of the environmental movement, right? Which started in the 1950s. With who? Who was the first slide? Come on.
Hunter.
Nope.
Hanson.
Nope.
She wrote a book.
Yep.
Oh,
Rachel
no,
Carson.
Rachel Carson. All right. Sounds great. And she was talking about dead birds in her backyard, right? She wasn't really talking about this stuff because no one knew about this stuff. No one knew about climate change. But she was talking about dead birds and rivers turning color in her backyard, and people were like, "What is going on?" And she was talking about chemicals in our environment, and she was talking about DDT and all sorts of stuff that really, really harms people and animals. Carbon dioxide variations over 400,000 years. We can take ice core samples in the ice in the middle of the Arctic, and we can, by looking at trapped bubbles of air in the ice, we can look at how much parts per million CO2 there was over 400,000 years ago. And look where we are, way above the normal variation, way above. You guys saw Inconvenient Truth? Who saw Inconvenient Truth?
We're watching it later.
Oh, okay. So you'll see Al Gore, our former vice president, go up on a big ladder right over here, and he keeps going up, and he's got this like little button, and he presses, he keeps going up, going up, going up, going up, and he's showing that we're way above the natural variations, way unsafe. 200 species a day are going extinct, according to the UN. 200 a day. So tomorrow, 200 species will be gone. Forever. Crazy, right? Is that crazy? Think about that. In a week, how many will be gone? 1,400 species will be gone off this planet. 200 species a day.
Is that a real number? Like,
It's an
There's
estimation.
actual-
It's an estimation.
oh, okay.
There's also species that we haven't found yet. So that's
Yeah, they-
objective number 2 that I didn't mention in the beginning. I want you guys to leave here thinking and feeling that you can still discover new things in this world. I grew up thinking that, and then as people have discovered the internet and have basically made every source of every bit of information available at your fingertips, I've stopped believing that people know everything. And also, you're taught that in school too. Sometimes not really directly, but sometimes teachers say, "Oh, well, we know everything. We know everything there is to know. Here it is in the textbook." But you have to leave here today realizing that there's so much unknown out there. There's so much unknown out there. It's really important. Because if you don't think that, if you think that everyone knows, if the whole world understands everything and how everything works, what's the point of doing anything anymore? Right? Think about inquiry. Ask really tough questions. Continue to ask me questions, hard questions, not too much. But leave here knowing in your mind that there is the unknown still. We're finding new species every day, not 200 a day, not even close. Maybe not even a half a species a day. But it's really cool. We're finding. They just found a lake. I believe how many miles below the ice?
I don't even know.
Something like a mile underneath the ice in the middle of the Arctic. A whole lake, like one of the largest lakes in the world. And there's things living down there. We've never been there.
How'd they find that?
The Russians have been drilling. They've been drilling and drilling and drilling for like a year now. And they just broke through.
What are they trying to find under ice though? It's not like oil.
They're trying to figure out, well, think about this. Think about this. If this lake has been covered under ice for, how old is the world? 4 billion? 4 billion years old? Maybe it's been covered for a billion years old, billion years. Maybe not. Maybe even 500,000 years. Maybe 20,000 years, right? Last interglacial period, when it was like all water. Think about after it iced over, think about what could be under there. We've never seen. It could be, it evolved in the dark. You could have,
Like those
yeah,
giants.
crazy, right?
So could there be cheese frozen
Yeah. Oh yeah, easily. Or swimming in the water. There's water down there. It's a lake. A mile under the ice. A huge lake. It's like the size of Texas. Isn't that crazy?
Is it freshwater or saltwater?
I believe it's freshwater. Could be, I don't know, that's a good question. Something to Google later. Don't Google it now. So, the world kind of sounds like it sucks right now, right? 200 species a day dying, CO2 going up. We cannot pout. There's no pouting allowed. We need to be optimistic. And one of the people that helps me be optimistic every day, and you guys should write this down, is Joanna Macy. Joanna Macy is a deep ecologist. She believes in, she's a scientist, an ecologist, and she believes that she understands the history, natural history and human history, and has studied it extensively and written hundreds of books. And she has this idea called the Great Turning. The Great Turning is the shift from industrial growth society to Did I mess that up? Yep. To a life-sustaining society, where we go from a system, a political system, a social system that basically puts profit first and growth first, to a system where people are doing things to live in a better world with each other. That's basically what the Great Turning is. So a revolution is underway, she believes, because people are realizing that our needs can be met without destroying our world. We have the technical knowledge, the communication tools, and material resources to grow enough food, ensure clean air and water, and meet rational energy needs. Those are like the necessities of life, right? Food, water, shelter, air, energy. Future generations, that's you guys, if there's a livable world for them, will look back at the epical transition we are making to a life-sustaining society. And they may well call this the time of the Great Turning. It is happening now. So that's what I want to happen here. That's what we have to make sure happens here. We have to turn greatly. And part of realizing what we want to do here is realizing that we're part of a network of other universities and colleges around the world, around the country. Over 670 other colleges have signed this commitment. And the actual presidents and chancellors, so the very high up person, the person in charge, right? We have a new chancellor here. His name is Swami. People call him Swami. Isn't that awesome? Yeah. Isn't that awesome? So, I'm going to try to get him to sign this, but who knows? But our two previous chancellors ago signed the Presidential Climate Commitment, so ACUPCC, along with 670 others now. And basically what that says is we commit to all sorts of things to make our campus more sustainable. 15% renewable energy by 2015. Academic commitment. Instilling sustainability into all aspects of the curriculum. So every class you take, there should be a learning outcome that has to do with sustainability. So when you're done with that course, you understand one of the basic principles of sustainability, whether it be something about world resources or resource extraction or world poverty or water resources or whatever it is, overpopulation, whatever it is, but all sustainability related, right? So we signed ACPCC, and that kind of got things moving here. That was in 2008. Fast forward to today. We need a roadmap. We need something that tells us, how do we do this? How do we have the Great Turning on campus? Right? How do we turn things around? By 2050, through the ACPCC, we've committed to be carbon neutral. Does that make any sense to you? Carbon neutral? Who can guess what that means? Carbon neutral.
That you don't produce carbon dioxide, or you don't need.
Well, we're going to probably produce carbon dioxide either way. But carbon neutral is kind of an equation. What would the equation look like?
Neutral.
What's that?
Balanced.
Balanced.
Reactants equal product.
Say that louder.
The reactants equal the product.
Yes. So we will emit as much carbon dioxide as we produce or save. Okay? So carbon neutrality by 2050. It's a long way out. And the problem is, everyone says, well, that's a really long time ago. That's a really long time ago. I don't even know if I'm going to be alive anymore, so I don't really have to worry about it. Some schools have signed a commitment that says 2018. Carbon neutrality by 2018. They're struggling to meet that goal. That's a really lofty goal. Some have said 2020. Most schools have said 2050. So how do we get there? This is the roadmap. There's all sorts of things that can get us there. Continuous commissioning. That's greening our buildings. I'll hit on that right now. It's really hard. That was your question. How hard is it? It's really freaking hard. Greening existing buildings. Because we have all sorts of really old buildings here that have really, really bad energy usage, or energy intensity, as you will, kBTUs per square foot. And what do? You got to replace the windows. You got to put insulation in the walls. You got to replace the heating system. You got to replace the cooling system. And all of it adds up to what? Moolah. It's really expensive. So where do you get the money from to do it? Donors, good point. Gotta bring in donors. Alumni,
Oh yeah.
right? People who went to school here who are rich now, who like really care about sustainability. We're trying. What else? What's that?
Bake
Bake sales.
Power wash.
You guys need to bake brownies. For me, that's one of your homework. Baking brownies for me that I can sell so that we can green existing buildings.
Really?
How much is each one? We make us.
10 bucks for that's a darn good brownie. Woo! Maybe a big brownie. Huge brownie. But continuous commissioning is one way to green our existing buildings. See the one in the corner there? Right in the bottom? Continuous commissioning. Also known as continuous commissioning is called CCX. And continuous commissioning is where an engineer and a student on this campus right now, an engineer and a student will go into a building and go into like back closets and stuff and go down to the basement and look at the building operations and controls of the building and tweak it a little bit so that it performs better. And that's not everything about greening existing buildings, but that's one of the things you can do, and you can save a lot of money, and it's really easy to do. So that's something that we're doing right now. Solar energy, tracking emissions. You gotta be able to measure what you want to reduce, right? Energy utilization, behavioral change, so individual energy consumption, student engagement, composting, permaculture. You guys heard about the permaculture initiative yet? Oh, cool. I have a slide on that. All right. What was this? What? Oh, favorite green initiative. All right. So, you saw the world CO2 concentrations. Every day, we contribute to that. Every day, when people come to school here, when people come to work here, when people drive here, where people turn on the lights here, everything contributes to CO2 emissions. So, right now, we're at about 125,000 metric tons of CO2 per year. That's equivalent, just so that makes sense to you, that's equivalent to about 3.5 tons per person. So like, imagine like a big boulder, 3-ton boulder over your head all day. That's what you're carrying around with you, of CO2. So, our emissions were really high back in 2004. See 2004? That was our peak emissions year. And we were going to go up. We were going to keep going up. And then we did two things that were really important. We built a new power plant. 3 things. We built a new power plant and we stopped burning. Anybody want to take a guess? Coal. Nice. Good job. Ding! We stopped burning coal, the most carbon-intensive energy that there is. And we built this new power plant that burns. Anyone want to take a guess?
Use up oil?
We use oil. Not as much as what the other thing. Come on, start guessing.
Nuclear.
Nope.
Natural gas?
Natural gas. So, we use a lot of natural gas to power our buildings, to do everything we need to do on an everyday basis here. Our natural gas might come from the Marcellus Shale. What do we do about that?
That's where fracking natural gas comes from.
Yep. So, you see how we're going to go up and then we built the central heating plant, which was the natural gas? The cool thing about the central heating plant, not the natural gas, the cool thing about it is that we have, I don't know if you guys have a picture that you're not going to,
No.
okay. But so it's this big dome structure. You'll see it behind the Mullen Center. And it basically burns natural gas to produce electricity. But it also produces steam, which heats all of our buildings. And then the steam also produces electricity. So it's called cogeneration. So a lot of times it'll produce steam, and the steam will just go out in the air without capturing the energy in the steam. Because right, you can turn turbines with steam, right? The hot air. And then that turbine creates electricity. So we create energy and steam for heating at the same time. And so it's 80% more efficient than the old power plant. So it's really, do you guys understand that? So it's really cool, but it's big and it's really hard. I'm not going to explain the intricacies of this. So we started going down by around this year, but we have a ton of growth on campus, right? We're building. You guys saw the new construction, right?
Yeah.
Like everywhere. So that's going to make our emissions go up again. But then there's ways that it can reduce our emissions again. But they're big things. Continuous commissioning is one of them. I talked about that. The other ones, clean and renewable energy. So what forms of clean and renewable energy can we have? Wind, solar.
Water for dams.
Yeah, hydro. Yeah. What else? What's that? It's not really renewable. It's carbon-based fuel. What else? You guys got
Like
solar,
using
wind.
biodegradable waste.
Yeah, biogas. Yeah, yeah. You can burn trash, or you can take food waste and you can decompose, and then it produces methane, and you can capture that methane, and then use it as gas, just like we do with natural gas. Isn't that cool? There's also geothermal. You can get constant 50-degree air underneath the ground anywhere in the world. It's always 50 degrees. So if we wanted this room to be 50 degrees and it's 90 degrees outside, we could get the air from under the ground and pump it up, and we could cool the room with the air that's already there. Pretty cool, huh? Geothermal, solar, wind, hydro.
Do you only care about carbon emissions? Like,
No,
is
good
that
question.
only gas?
That's a really good question. We don't. Other greenhouse gases are really important. Methane is one of them. That's one of the things that Marcellus Shale people are talking about, because there's a lot of methane that's produced out of these wells that are all over the country. There's a lot of methane being produced, and methane is the most potent greenhouse gas, the most potent global warming creating gas. And I won't go into the physics of that, but yes.
I've heard rumors that because the dairy industry and the like I don't know, steak industry, I guess, but like the fact that there are so many cows centralized in the
Cow farms.
Yeah. Do they actually contribute to the methane
Yep.
emissions in those areas?
They do.
Like in a considerable amount?
They do, but compared to, you know what it's compared to? It's can of beans compared to the methane that's going to be emitted by the melting or by the thawing of the permafrost. So the permafrost exists in North America, actually around the entire globe, south of the Arctic, and it's basically frozen soil. And it's basically old, very, 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 very old wetland, peat moss. It's like think of like for thousands of years, like plant matter, just like plant and animal matter, just getting compacted and compacted and compacted. That's actually what coal is. And but it's been void of oxygen, and so it's created methane. And so methane, when the soil melts from global warming, it's going to create, it's going to let off methane. And that is way more than the cow farts. But yeah, the more cow farts we have, the more methane. The more beef we eat, the more cows. So you guys know that too when you're eating a burger. Don't think of that when you're eating a burger, but. So, I don't know if you guys can see this, but this is depicting the growth that we're planning at UMass. So if you guys want to come to school here, you're going to be part of these numbers. So right now, you see where, oh God, see where we're at? This is square footage of building space. We are at 1.9 million. We have 1.9 million square feet of building space on this campus. Isn't that crazy? It's a lot of rooms. Think about that. This is probably, let's say it's 100 by 100, right? How many square feet is that? How much? 10,000 square feet? 100 by 100? 10,000 square feet. So that's just one room. We have 1.9 million. We're planning to have, possibly in the future, 18 million. What does it say? Does it say 18, right? Yeah. Just within the next 4 to 7 years, we're going to have 12 million. We're going to grow by 3 million new square feet. That's all the construction you see outside. Then we're going to grow in students from 24 to 27,000. We're going to go from 3,000, we're going to go from 7,000, almost 8,000 employees to almost 9,000 employees, or 8,000 to 9,000. So we're growing a great deal. And so what do? Because we gotta reduce these emissions, right? But we're growing at the same time. That's the challenge we have. I already showed you guys that. So if you take, who has been to other schools in Massachusetts? Other colleges? Which one?
Northeastern.
Northeastern. UMass Lowell, great one.
Smith.
Smith.
Northeastern and BC.
So some of these schools are private, some of these are public. If you take all the public colleges and universities in the state of Massachusetts, not including UMass Lowell, UMass Med, which is in Worcester, UMass Boston, and UMass Dartmouth, you add all the other ones up, every community college in the state, and then every other state school like Fitchburg, these other schools, Framingham, Springfield Tech, all these other ones, they have just as much carbon emissions as us, combined. That's how big we are. Crazy, right? Here's a good one. Energy imports in 2008, in the state of Massachusetts alone, we spent $22 billion on energy. And 80% of that leaves the state because we don't produce any of our own electricity, none of our own energy. Where does it all go? We spend $5 billion on oil every year for heating our homes. $9.2 billion on gasoline for our cars and trucks. Jet fuel, $1.4 billion, almost $1 million on other petroleum, $5.2 on natural gas, $300 million on coal. And it all goes, all that money goes out of the state, goes to Venezuela, Colombia, Caribbean, Middle East, Gulf Coast, Canada, goes to places like that don't even like us. So why are we giving them money? Right? That's another objective. Connect the dots. That's what people don't do. And that's what the media doesn't want us to do. That's what a lot of people don't want us to do, is connect the dots. All this stuff is connected. All these issues that you see on the news. The war, the high oil prices, Syria, Libya, Iraq, Afghanistan, all this stuff, it's all connected. Even the pirates. You know about the pirates, right? In like Somalia? All this stuff is connected, guys. It's all the same issue. So what are we doing here? What are we doing here? We're going to try. So this is the coolest thing. This is where we start getting optimistic and like, yay! All right? This guy is Dr. Stephen Hebert. He teaches here. He runs the Center for Agriculture, which is like the horse farm. We have a horse farm here. We have all sorts of agricultural programs. This guy thinks that you can build solar panels, mount them on the ground instead of on a roof, in a field where cows are grazing, and then they're high enough where cows can still graze underneath them. And they provide shade. So what are you doing on this one plot of property? You're producing milk, sure. Yep, okay, you're producing what else?
Some methane.
Some methane. Wow, not the two that I would start with. Milk, methane, what else? Energy? Huh? Yeah, you got cool areas. Cool areas, shade, right? Relief. Right? So you're actually producing a lot of things on this one piece of property. You're raising the value of the property. And what we're going to do, what we're already doing, this is in South Deerfield on our research farm. And I'll show you another I'll show you the group of students that actually work on that farm every day. You could come to school here, and you could, I'm not gonna like plug UMass, that's not what I'm doing here. But you come to school here, and you could study sustainable agriculture, how to grow your own food, how to sell your own food as a business, as an enterprise, how to run a business based on selling your own food and working with other people locally to produce local food for your community, and the science behind what soils you need, what soil conditions you need, what kind of water levels you need, all sorts of hydrology, all sorts of stuff. Insects that eat your food, right? You learn about all that, and it's all on campus. And so right now, we have these solar panels, and they're testing this out, and they're working great. There he is, all proud. I'm Dr. Steven Hebert, and I have solar panels at UMass. But what we're gonna do is, we're gonna expand this on our horse farm to 2 megawatts of solar energy. So our CHP that I mentioned before, our combined heat and power plant, it produces, guess how many megawatts per year?
20.
Very close,
25.
just below 20. 17 megawatts of energy, it's a lot. It's a lot, that's what we need on campus here, every day. Not every day, but per year. And we are gonna try to produce 2 megawatts of solar energy on the Hadley farm with this same system. So I'm pretty psyched about that. It's pretty cool.
So is this your favorite green initiative?
Yup, bam! Very good, very good. I'll talk about this later. No other school is doing that. No other school is doing this. We're the first one in the, probably the world, I think. This is a research project. And it's not proven technology, but we're basically proving it. The other thing we're doing, who asked about the bike share program?
Me?
Yeah.
Is it? The bike share program is huge for UMass Amherst. The university is dedicated to sustainability in every aspect, and the bike share program is just one example.
What I've heard from students generally is it's going to be an easy way to get around.
Depending on where you live, it can be a 5-minute walk or a 15-minute walk. So for me, the bike share program provides an extra 5 minutes of sleep. One of the great things about the bike share program, besides the fact that these bikes are smooth rides, is the fact that it also helps reduce our carbon footprint.
The sustainability initiatives on campus here come from the students and the energy and the excitement of the students.
I'm the Secretary of Sustainability for the SGA. Anything that the SGA is doing, I kind of have an input on the sustainability of it.
I've been involved in sustainable efforts on this campus since my freshman year. When the EcoRep program launched, I wanted to bring the things that I've learned in sustainability to a Student Government Association. And so I did that through the Secretary of Sustainability, a position that made this program possible. Another thing that's great about this, the bike share program, is that it is free. That's something we can't highlight enough, obviously.
Staff, students, and faculty, everyone with a U card will be able to rent a bike whenever they want.
The class of 2010 donated $10,000 to buy bikes for the program.
We purchased the bikes from Workman Cycle Company, which makes the bikes here in the U.S. We received the bikes, and they came unassembled in boxes, and we have the bike co-op here helping us assemble the bikes and put them together.
That means more people are on bikes than in cars, and those are important steps that we need to take as a university.
I am super pumped about the bike share program at the Get it? University of Massachusetts Amherst.
Oh.
All right, so that's the bike share program.
Why can't we access the bike share program?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Why can't we access the bike share program?
Oh, because you don't have a U card yet. And you mean like right now?
Yeah.
Who asked that? Oh, right now? So,
These 2 weeks.
so because the SGA administers it, they're not here right now. So we don't have anyone to help you check out the bike. And I can't do it. So I'd be checking out bikes all day. And we'd be able to reduce our carbon emissions, other than riding bikes. So as soon as the semester starts, bikes come out of storage, and then we just go. And there's been a wait list for the last It started 2 semesters ago. This last semester there was like a huge wait list of like 50 people. So everyone wants to ride a bike. We gotta get more bikes. And that gets into what other colleges are doing. There's a couple other colleges on campus that have like these little solar panel things with a little RFID scanner. You know what RFID is? Let's see. What uses RFID? Oh, Easy Pass on the highway.
Yeah.
That's RFID.
So I think it's the dorms, right?
So when you're on your little bike, right? Oh God, mine. When you're on your little bike and you commute to campus, instead of driving a car to campus, and you come in on one of the 3 or 4 main entrances, there's one of these that scans a little sticker on your bike. And then it tracks every time you come on a campus. And then you go online when you get to the office, or with your laptop, you go online and you see that you have points accrued every time you come on a campus with your bike. And then you can take those points and get rewards for them, like free food, cool stuff that isn't made in China. What else? Anything. We can, anything. Right? We can partner with local businesses to give us gift certificates. All sorts of stuff that you can redeem online. So that's creating an incentive for people to ride their bikes instead of drive their cars. So that's what I want to do. University of Minnesota has this. University of Washington not University of Washington, but University of Washington, Missouri, I think. Marin County has this in California, and there's one other community that has it, but I want to get it. It costs about $30,000, so I'm trying to write a grant right now to get it. So that's what some other schools are doing. The other thing that they have, other schools, is like a lock system. And so you scan your U card, and the door opens up, and you have like keys. And one of them lights up, and you take the key out, and you're on your way. Instead of having a deal, then we could do it during the summer. Then it could be available to you, because you don't need people. And then our SGA can monitor it online. Pretty cool, right? That's another thing I want to do. Yeah?
What prevents people from just like riding in circles around the little machine?
That's what I was gonna ask.
Hundreds of points.
I think there's a way to make it so that it has to be like, you know, twice a day or something. Because like, how many times did you commute to campus? You know, like why would you leave campus like 8 times? Like, no one does that. So yeah, I think there's like a maximum that you can get for that. The other thing we're doing is really cool. Permaculture initiative. They just went to the White House. What they're doing is they're taking land on campus that was otherwise basically either going to be a parking lot, which we don't need more of, because we don't want more cars on campus, or just basically like grass. And I don't know if you guys like know the history of grass. Probably wasn't in your history of environment slide, right? But the history of grass is basically a Western creation, a Western civilization creation. It was basically created in the 1950s. It started in Europe. It was like, oh, there's some like really soft green stuff. Let's grow it. And you can like walk on it. It's squishy. And it feels really good. But before that, like no one had lawns. It was a total post-World War II creation. And so then we just started growing lawns everywhere because it looked really nice. And then, and now we have lawns everywhere. And on campus, you see a lot of grass. It's basically just unused property, right? What else could we be doing with that land?
Vegetables.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a group of students that are converting these plots of land, and they can do it within 24 hours. They basically take out the grass, they add cardboard and newspaper, and like hay and all sorts of like natural, just like stuff that decomposes. They build up the soil and compost, and they build this up, build it up, build it up, and they have like a productive garden in like 24 hours. It's crazy. And so now we have 2 permaculture gardens on campus, growing local food that goes right into the dining commons. So some of the produce that you ate tonight may have come from the garden outside. There's a Worcester. Wait, no, you didn't go to Franklin. You went to Worcester, right? So there's one at Franklin Dining Common. There's a new one at Berkshire Dining Common in Southwest, where the freshman dorms are. And then they're just going to build one a year. And so we're growing our own food here. And so then they applied for this award with the White House. The White House had something like, 3,000? It was like 3,000 different campus initiatives. It didn't have to be environment. It didn't have to be sustainable. It could have been food pantry or whatever it was, right? Helping the homeless. And they were in the top, they were chosen as the top maybe 12 or something, or 18. And then the top 18, the White House said, all right, whoever gets the most Facebook votes wins. And they had a week to do it. So they went out and they basically just spammed everybody. And they just Facebooked like crazy. And you got 3 votes to spread around the 18 initiatives. So you could vote all 3 votes for UMass. And we got more than 30, what was it, 60,000? It was something like 50 or 60,000 votes. And they won. They came in first place. And so they went to the White House and they met President Obama. And our chancellor went, the guy second from the right. And our vice chancellor of admin and finance went. And all the students. And they're all dressed up. They looked a lot different from when they were working in the garden. Isn't that cool? So that's another initiative. The other thing we do here is, you guys, this is about leadership, right, this week? One of the ways that students can be leaders here, and faculty and staff can be leaders here, is our Green Office program. So students get trained on how to reduce energy, and how to reduce water use, and how to reduce, how to make their office more sustainable. How to use less paper, right? There's all sorts of ways you can save on paper when you print, right? All sorts of settings on your computer to save energy, your lighting in your office, recycling, composting in your kitchen, all sorts of things you can do in your office. And the students get trained on this, and they go into our offices, and they train the 8,000 staff that we have here. And they walk through as consultants. So they're like, it's basically like a job. And as an intern, they go into these offices and they run down the list with the staff, and they say, you can do this, you can do this, oh, you're doing this, check, you're doing this, check. And once they do everything on the list, they get certified. And there's bronze, silver, gold, and green is the highest. And we only have one office that's green here. Nope. we just moved to a new building. It's the green, SGA. The guys that did the bike program.
Well, that makes sense.
Yep. So students are leading the way here. So that's one way you can be a leader for students, and also staff. So there's an eco leader for each office that's in charge of the checklist. So students work with that eco leader, so they get professional experience, and they get credit for it too. Whoops, sorry. I think you guys know one of those guys on there. He's getting the most air.
Oh my God.
That's a good jump.
Yes.
So we were trying to get them to jump the other way, because the other way was like a 100-foot plunge down in the water. We were trying to get them to jump in. No, they really wasn't. They wouldn't jump the other way, they'd jump this way.
You have a pumpkin jacket on.
He does have a puppy jacket on.
It was cold back
So
then.
Jeremy was part of the eco-reps. And there's eco-rep programs around the country. And UMass used to have the largest one. I think we're trying to build it up again to be the largest one in the country. But what it is a peer-to-peer program of students teaching students and interacting with their fellow students in the residence halls to become more aware about sustainability issues. And so you get credit as a course. You basically sign up as a course. And people like Jeremy becomes an eco-rep leader, area eco-rep. So he's in charge of how many dorms, how many residence halls? Like 10 or 12. And then eco-reps sign up and they meet once a week and they talk about books, they talk about different environmental issues, and then they go and do stuff in the residence halls to educate their fellow residents and classmates. And so this is a really cool program, and those are our area eco-reps. And how many of them graduated, Jared?
Just me.
Oh, just you?
Coley's here for grad school actually.
Oh, Coley's here for grad school. So we have like two, Coley's probably not going to be correct. So we have 2 out of 4. So every year we're looking for new leaders to step up. To step up to educate their fellow classmates about this stuff. The other thing we're doing is the Green Games, which is a competition amongst all the residence halls to someday we're gonna do energy reductions, but we have to meter all the buildings first. I think it's complicated to go into that. And then also do like the most events, like green events, and also kind of most kind of interaction, and it's all through Facebook. So every cluster of residence halls, so like Southwest North, Southwest South, Orchard Hill. Where are you guys? You guys are Northeast, right? You guys are staying Northeast. Northeast is a team, and they have their own Facebook page. And if you become a fan of the Facebook page, and then you're on the team, and you can share videos, you can share ideas, you can post, you can start events, and the more you do that, the more points you get throughout the semester. Orchard Hill won last year, I think. So we're doing that.
Ezra, just to let you know, it's 8 o'clock and we've got like 15, 20 minutes.
Oh, okay. So this is, I'm almost done. So this is the student farm. Look how much fun they're having. And they're getting their hands dirty, and they're getting credit. And they're learning a ton. And they're on a tractor.
Yeah.
School.
So the other thing is, there's a rating system for schools and their sustainability efforts. And we are one of 30, I believe it is. It might be more now, like 31 or 32 schools around the whole world that are stars gold. So it's a rating system that looks at everything from energy usage in buildings to bike share programs to the amount of courses that are sustainability related to whether or not we invest our money in sustainability companies. Everything you can think of. And they put it all together. There's this equation. There's three categories: energy, engagement, and academics. And they round them out. They average the 3 scores. And we got, I believe, a 66 point something, 5.2 or something like that, which got us stars gold. There's only 30 in the world that are stars gold. So we're already doing a ton, right? But there's so much more to do. Like this stuff, there's the more important thing is the paradigm shift that we talked about, right? Joanna Mason, right? Great turning. We have to create a great turning. We can do all sorts of stuff that is sustainability related here. But if people don't change the way they live and work with each other, and everyone understands that we have a common goal, we're not really getting anywhere. So that's starting to happen, but it's slow. So what's next? You guys. That's it. So I talked about this. This is really hard because other people on campus have other priorities, right? They don't think about sustainability every day like I do. You have to convince them that this stuff also saves money, right? Because money makes the world go around, right? So if you convince them that this stuff saves money, which it does, then you can have them drinking the Kool-Aid.
Well, but it does in the long run, because I mean,
It does.
to create the initiative to start them, you have to pay.
Right.
So
Not with money all the time. Some of it is this. Some of it is this. Some of it is this.
Yep.
That doesn't cost anything. You know what that costs? Courage. You gotta be courageous. That's really what it comes down to. You know? There's people writing letters in the newspaper about this stuff. You know, they care that much. They're writing letters in the newspaper. You know? You can do that too. Anyone can do that. Tonight, you could go home, go back to the residence hall and write a letter to the New York Times and say, we need a great turning. How are we going to do it? But you got to get people to talk about it, and you need to be courageous to do that, because you can just be like, yeah, I can do that, or I could watch Chopped. And that's really easy, to sit on the couch and watch Chopped, which is a great show. But it's more courageous to have the will to make change. Right? That's the only thing that's going to stop this. Katie told me they already have like tractors lined up. They're like ready to go. They're like already parked, like next to where the pipeline is going to be. They're like building camps for people to work. They're like ready to go. They're waiting for the president to be like, do it, guys. But if enough people are courageous enough and have the political will to stop it, then we can stop it. But if no one says anything, then the president's just going to sign a little paper. Here you go. You know? But people have stopped things that they didn't want before. That was in Katie's. You think Richard Nixon created the Clean Air Act? You think Richard Nixon cared about the... I'm not a crook. I mean, come on. Richard Nixon didn't really care that much about the clean air. He did it because people forced him to. People told him that he has to do it. There's political will. What else? Resume? I've done everything. Everything. Name it. I've worked on an oil rig.
Skydiving.
I've skydived. The first one was a lie, but I actually have skydived.
Would it be against your moral self to be on an oil rig?
To what?
Would it be morally wrong for you to be on an oil rig?
Yeah, I didn't actually work on it.
Two truths and a lie.
Yeah, that was a lie, but I have skydived.
Was it awesome?
It was.
Oh, man.
I can't say it wasn't. A friend I grew up with is like a tandem instructor. So he's the one that like straps onto your back and jumps with you. And he also has like those squirrel suits. Have you seen those?
Yep.
He does that.
Oh,
And
man.
he sells squirrel suits.
Is that crazy?
So, do you guys really want to know like what my resume looks like? I should tell you. I'll tell you like the highlights. So one of the things, and it's awesome that you're doing this, because this is awesome. This is really good for you guys. Really good for the planet, really good for you. Because you'll realize as you get older, it's all about experience. It's all about networks. It's all about who you know. It's all about knowing people and working with people and showing people that you care. And they're going to remember that you work hard and you want to make a better world for you and for other people. And people are going to remember that. And that will go a long way. That'll go a really long way. And the only way to do that is just do things. Do things that you care about. So when I was, after I graduated college, I did AmeriCorps. Have you guys heard of AmeriCorps?
Mm-hmm.
And it was Vista program, just started by JFK. It's the Volunteers in Service to America. And I did the environment program. So I worked with the environmental organization that helped people, do energy audits in their house and all that kind of stuff. And then, what else did I do? I brought kids out into like the middle of nowhere in Colorado, and we rehabilitated a peat bog. And then I went back to school and got my master's here in wildlife and fisheries conservation. And I studied climate change and how the impacts of what would the impacts would be on climate change on animals in New England. So they're saying in 50 years we could possibly have the same climate as Virginia. Who's from Virginia? Could you imagine if Massachusetts was like Virginia?
I don't really know what that means. I'm thinking about
I'm out of here. Just kidding, just kidding. But what would that mean for the heat? Yep. What would that mean for animals that are like, let's see, moose? We have moose here. Sometimes moose get like totally loose on campus, and they just start running around campus.
But
Moose.
what about the gray and black squirrels?
There are black squirrels. That's actually a college campus thing.
We've been told there's like mixed
Oh,
squirrels.
mix so gray and black, brown? No.
There's one little hybrid squirrel with
There's a
two
hybrid
colors, yeah.
So
we
the
got
black squirrel is like an Amherst thing.
one. Yes.
And there's also, I've noticed, on college campuses around the country, there's black squirrel. I don't know what it is. I don't
And
know
it's
what
not
it
like a different squirrel, it's the same squirrel, it's just different colors.
Are there squirrels in Italy, Mark?
It could be college
Yes,
kids.
there's red squirrels.
It could be college kids spray painting squirrel black. Who knows?
That's mean.
Um,
Write it down.
and then, what's that?
Can you get a degree in sustainability?
Yes, you can. Great question. So there's a bunch of degrees now. There's who's interested in economics or management. So here you can now get a certificate, a 4-year certificate in sustainability management in the Eisenberg School of Management, which is one of the best schools of management in the country. You can get a master's in sustainability science in the College of Natural Sciences. We're working on doing a 5 college certificate. Who knows what the 5 colleges are?
Smith.
Smith. Hampshire.
Amherst.
Yep.
And
Mount. And if you do that, you can take courses in all those schools, and they're all sustainability courses that aren't offered here, and you can put together this awesome program and just take courses in all these schools.
But then you need a car.
No, you don't. You can either ride your bike or take a bus. There's a bus that goes to every one of those college campuses and back.
Run by renewable energy?
The buses? No, but they are, yes, because they are hybrid, technically. We have 5 hybrid buses.
Technically.
I mean,
Well, it's debatable if they're run on diesel fuel, but they're also being run on batteries. Like a Prius.
is that not going to be one of your initiatives in the school year to get the buses and the other major transport around?
Put big cables on them.
We're working on it. We just got those 5 buses.
Yeah,
That's an improvement from what we didn't have.
All right, so we gotta wrap up in
We
the
gotta
next
wrap up.
5 minutes. Do you guys want to ask any other major questions?
What else? I covered everything. Oh, so Keystone XL Keystone pipeline. You obviously know my opinion.
Right. Well, it should be.
I definitely think that it should not be built.
So what's wrong with
That's
it?
a surprise to you.